Dear colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute privilege to return to the German Council on Foreign Relations after 2 years. I would like to express my sincere gratitude for welcoming me for the second time. If we try to compare the titles of today's discussion, Armenians' perspectives of peace, institutionalization, regional connectivity, and relations with the EU, with the previous one, security and stability in the South Caucasus, it will show the historic developments and further perspectives in our region of the South Caucasus. Today I can announce with confidence that on August 8 in Washington, D.C., peace was established between Armenia and Azerbaijan when, with the President of Azerbaijan, we signed a joint declaration witnessed by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. According to the declaration, Armenia and Azerbaijan highlighted the need to chart a course for a bright future, not bound by the conflict of the past and consistent with the Charter of the United Nations and the 1991 Almaty Declaration. We committed ourselves to pave the way for closing the chapter of enmity between our two countries. We resolutely reject and exclude any attempt of revenge now and in the future. The agreed upon text of the Agreement on Establishment of Peace and Interstate Relations between the Republic of Armenia and the Republic of Azerbaijan was initialed by the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of Armenia and Azerbaijan in the presence of President Trump, President Aliyev, and myself. One of the key breakthroughs reached in Washington was the agreement to open communications between the two countries, between Armenia and Azerbaijan, for intrastate, bilateral, and international transportation on the basis of respect for the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and jurisdiction of the states. These efforts are to include unimpeded connectivity between the main part of the Republic of Azerbaijan and its Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic through the territory of the Republic of Armenia, with reciprocal benefits for international and intrastate connectivity for the Republic of Armenia. Now, together with our American counterparts, we are engaged in intensive negotiations on the general terms of implementation of Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity, Trip-Route Connectivity Project, which also was agreed in the framework of the signed declaration. TRIP Company, an Armenian-American joint venture, will be registered in Armenia and will be granted a right to develop the necessary infrastructure of railway, road, oil and gas pipelines, and fiber optics. We will move to the actual implementation and construction phase as early as next year. The implementation of this project, which is fully in line with our government's Crossroads of Peace initiative, will create additional interlinks and interdependencies in the region, becoming yet another very important factor for peace. In fact, the Trip Route project, together with the opening of communications between Armenia and Turkey, have full potential to become an important component of the Middle Corridor, providing unimpeded connectivity between Europe, South Caucasus, and Central Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to inform you that the political agreement to open communications between Armenia and Azerbaijan is already becoming a reality. In October, Azerbaijan announced that it is lifting restrictions on the transit of goods through its territory to Armenia, and I appreciate this decision and announcement of President of Azerbaijan, because this is very significant and positive development. Something that appeared impossible only months ago is now a reality. Grain has been transported from Kazakhstan to Armenia through Azerbaijan and Georgia by railway, which is an unprecedented event since our independence. On our turn, as we have announced publicly, Armenia is ready, both politically and technically, even today, to enable the transit of cargo between Turkey and Azerbaijan through its territory. With all this being said, I'm confident that through daily care for established peace, adherence to the text and spirit of Washington Declaration, and the rejection of narratives that could derail the process, the Armenian and Azerbaijani governments will be able to institutionalize lasting peace between our two countries. Of course, speaking about our region, I should also update this distinguished audience on the current state of play between Armenia and Turkey. Since our previous meeting at the German Council of Foreign Relations, we have witnessed an intensification of contacts between Armenia and Turkey. These contacts are taking place at nearly all levels. Between myself and President Erdogan, our foreign ministers and special representatives, the two ministers of foreign affairs, and as well as relevant line ministries. In practice, we maintain very active talks and relations with official Ankara, even in the absence of de jure diplomatic relations. And I hope that Turkey will make the long-awaited political decision to open its border with Armenia and establish diplomatic relations. The normalization of Armenia-Turkey relations, peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Triplet project, Armenia's and Azerbaijani good neighborly relations with Georgia and Iran, constructive dialogue with Russia can position the South Caucasus as one of the most attractive transit corridors alongside both the north-south and east-west routes. And we are working hardly to realize this historic opportunity. Distinguished colleagues, in March of this year, the National Assembly of Armenia adopted the law on initiating the process of Armenia's accession to the European Union. Many ask when Armenia will become a member of the European Union and how realistic this goal is. The law on initiating the process of Armenia's accession to the European Union is above all an incentive for us, for Armenia, to consistently pursue democratic reforms. Our aim is to be institutionally and practically compliant with European standards, because without compliance, membership in the European Union is impossible. Once Armenia objectively meets these European standards, two paths will lie ahead. Either we will be accepted as an EU member state, or we will not. Of course, our preferred scenario is the first one, but even if membership is not granted, we will have achieved a major milestone. Armenia will be a country that meets the most advanced modern standards. Our aspiration to comply with European Union standards is not driven by geopolitics, but by democratic choice. Since the peaceful Velvet Revolution of 2018, Armenia has committed as a matter of strategy to democracy, the rule of law, human rights, and an independent judiciary. On this path, just a week ago, Armenia and the European Union adopted the strategic agenda of the Armenia-EU partnership, which complements the already existing comprehensive and enhanced partnership agreement. We are currently exploring opportunities for sectoral integration in areas such as digital and telecommunications, energy and connectivity. Ladies and gentlemen, we paid special attention to the economic component of my visit to Germany, while also making use of the occasion to strengthen dialogue between representatives of the Armenian and German business communities. To support such contacts, our government must foster the mobility of our business people, and accordingly, I am pleased to note that we have successfully launched the visa liberalization dialogue with the European Union. This marks an important step toward enhancing mobility, intensifying people-to-people contacts, and developing intercultural ties. Recently, we received the Visa Liberalization Action Plan, which outlines the main benchmarks and key commitments of the government of Armenia. Upon its successful implementation, a visa-free regime will be established, further promoting active exchanges between Armenia and the European Union. Dear colleagues, it is difficult to fully cover the topic of Armenia-EU relations and partnership in these opening remarks, as today it is truly comprehensive, encompassing nearly all possible areas. I am confident that the 8th European Political Community Summit and the Armenia-EU Summit to be held in Yerevan next May will provide a new opportunity both to assess the progress of our relations and to set even more ambitious targets for the years ahead. Allow me to conclude my speech by emphasizing the importance of strengthening relations with EU member states as well, which provides additional opportunities to learn and cooperate on a bilateral basis. Of course, alongside other like-minded partners, Germany plays a central role for Armenia, and the adoption of the strategic agenda between our countries elevates our relations to a new level, creating new conditions for our strategic partnership. Thank you.